All right. This is the prerequisites of algebra, take two. Um, so the other time that I recorded this, my microphone wasn't plugged in properly, so I ended up with really quiet stuff. Um, so that being said, I'm going to be talking to you today about mathematics in general, and then talking about the prerequisites of mathematics. Mathematics in general, people have a misconception in our culture. Way back in time, we understood mathematics better than we do now. People understood it more than they do now, and the reason why was because we had people. Uh, the reason why was because our understanding of teaching was better, um, and the people who were teaching it knew the mathematics better. Um, But that being said, it's not really their fault. Um, so the fault of it happens in in culture. It happens with what we're focusing on, and I'll be talking more about stuff like that in my private YouTube channel. It's not gonna be talked too much about in here, um, but if you want to hear me talking about that kind of thing, you can look me up. It's my name, Frederick Slack, and I am your helpful tutoring teacher. So uh, my the thing that we have to worry about within mathematics, though, is we have a lot of preconceptions that it's hard, that it's difficult, that it's impossible to understand, which is not true. It just isn't true. Our brains are wired to understand mathematics from a very young age. I remember uh, an experience where before we even taught our son how to do mathematics, uh, we would be um, in the kitchen. Even my daughter Mary did this too. When we were giving out crackers, and we gave everybody three crackers, one of our kids, uh, 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 3 or 4 years old, said, "I would like four more crackers." And I was like, why do you want four more crackers? So I can have seven. And I'm sitting there going, wait, you just did 3 plus 4 equals 7 in your head without us ever telling you how to do that. And this comes down to a very important concept. We do arithmetic naturally. We do it naturally. And the problem that we have isn't that we don't know this stuff. The problem that we have isn't that it's difficult to understand. The problem is that we have gotten this strange idea that the formalized arithmetic is 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 impossible to understand. Okay, and mathematics itself isn't arithmetic. Arithmetic is a tool. It's a tool for figuring out how much something is, how many things there are, um, and which isn't mathematics. Mathematics is the language of patterns, and you can make sentences, you can make paragraphs with mathematics, and that is what mathematics is. It's the language of patterns. If you don't understand these things, then I can see why you might come up with the strange idea that mathematics is hard. It's difficult. It can never be understood, which is not true. What is true is that you can understand it. You can get there. All it takes is some understanding and someone who understands mathematics teaching you. Um, and then you can get to the point where you understand, not only understand mathematics, but you can say, "Oh, this is really good stuff. I can not only can I do mathematics, but I can use it to figure out the things that I'm trying to figure out, like how big my room has to be in order to fit all my stuff, right? Or how big, or how much, or how many hot dogs, hot dog packages and bun packages I have to buy in order to have the right amount of each to feed everybody and not to end up with tons and tons of buns left, right? Because if you do 6 and 6, you're going to end up with more buns than packages, more buns than hot dogs, and then you will have too many buns left over, and nobody likes to eat buns by themselves. However, if you plan ahead and you make it so that you're buying less buns than hot dogs, then you will end up with more hot dogs, and people are fine with eating more hot dogs by themselves. Just a little bit of wisdom there. So that being said, we have we get to the next part, and the next part is algebra, pre-algebra and algebra. This is when you start dealing with real mathematics, because because arithmetic is a tool, and then after you learn all the mathematics, if you get to calculus, calculus is also a tool. It isn't necessarily mathematics. Okay, so and that's why I always get iffy when people start saying I started understanding mathematics and then you changed the rules on me. Well, we didn't change the rules of mathematics. What we did was started teaching you the real mathematics, and you were still focusing in on arithmetic, which is not truly mathematics. It's a tool that helps us to understand math, or maths, as the British like to say, which is actually more accurate, considering that we say mathematics, not mathematic, right? It's maths. I like that better. So anyway, we have the next group of the next little bit. The next little bit, what we have is understanding that what algebra is. Algebra is algebra. The word algebra comes from an Arabic word that means complete, to complete, and so we're trying to complete a number sentence, and that's what algebra is. We're trying to complete something. Okay. And you have the equal sign, and you can have an expression on one side and an expression on the other side, and then combining them together, you get an equation that you can manipulate the variable and figure out what a variable thing is, and therefore complete the equation. Okay, and so you figure out everything and you complete it, and that's what algebra means. And that's mathematics. Because mathematics is the language of patterns. So say that with me. Mathematics is the language of patterns. So now this brings me to what I'm going to be talking about, which is the prerequisites of algebra. And the prerequisites of algebra these are the things that will help us to understand algebra. We'll have two things at the beginning that are prerequisites that will help you understand algebra, but that you can use a calculator to supplement it if you need to. And then we have two others that you need to understand because you can't, because a calculator won't necessarily help you to be able to get there. You need to know the concepts. And there's some memorization stuff that you have to do. Definitely have to do before you get into algebra. Okay? But, yeah. So this is the prerequisites to algebra. This is understanding the language that is mathematics. So you have to be able to add and subtract within 20. This is one thing that this is one of the two things that is a prerequisite that isn't necessarily necessary. So adding and subtracting within 20, doing this to immediacy, 9 plus 9 is 12. 9 plus 9 is 18. Sorry, not 12. 9 plus 3 is 12. There we go. Or 10 plus 9, or any number of things. 20 minus 11 is 9. All those things, that's immediacy of adding and subtracting within 20. That's a prerequisite for understanding algebra, because if you can do those things, generally speaking, in an algebra course, you will have mostly those small numbers adding together. You might have some bigger ones, but then you can use a calculator for those, or use a standard algorithm if you need to, or if you want to, if you don't have a calculator at hand. And that's why knowing how to do it, multi-step addition, is important. But if you don't have that, you can use a calculator. Anybody who's teaching algebra, think to yourself, what am I trying to teach these kids? You're trying to teach them algebraic thinking. If you're trying to teach them algebraic thinking, is calculation really that important? No, it's not. So let them use a calculator, period. And I'm going to get off my soapbox for against teachers right there, and say it's what is needed for them to understand algebra. And if they're not getting the calculation, just give the kid a calculator, please, or the adult. Moving on, the next prerequisite is multiplication tables, 1 to 5 by 1 to 10. And then 11 and 12 are things that, if you really want to go gung-ho and learn it, then learn it. If you want to learn 1 to 12 by 1 to 12, that is fine too. I'm just doing the basics that you have to know in order to do it. If you have anything higher than 5 by 1 to 10, then you can, or anything above 5 by 6 to 10 or to 12 or whatever, you're going to use a calculator, generally speaking. Okay. And the mathematics books keep things this simple too. They do. The only time that I've seen that they don't do it at is in Khan Academy. Khan Academy does not follow this rule. And then some other things I think too don't follow this rule. But you can use a calculator in those situations too. Okay. Just don't tell your teacher I said that. No, actually, tell your teacher and get them to let your kid use a calculator, especially if they have an IEP, and get that accommodation put in their IEP so they have to give them a calculator. Period. Okay. This brings me to my next point. If you are a parent of a student in 8th grade and they're about to send your child into high school, have them take out the calculation goals, period. They should not have calculation goals going into high school, because high school, we are not focusing on calculation. We're focusing on trying to get them to be ready to understand algebra. They can use a calculator and figure out how to think algebraically. Okay? Stop stressing the calculation and just help us be able to teach them how to think algebraically. Okay, that's important there. So now, these are the optional prerequisites. Now we have the definite prerequisites. You have to memorize. Oh no, memorize? Really? Yes, memorize the squares. This is 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, 144. The squares for 1 to 12, very important. And that's very important for Algebra 2 for the most part, because when you're going to be doing completing the squares. Okay? And that's important. I'm just going to let that sink in for a second. That is important. Now we have the properties of mathematics, and these are what I like to call the building blocks of mathematics. These are the Pinnacle basics, the most basic of mathematics. These are this is the foundation upon which we build the structure that is the language of patterns. And we need to build this foundation first before we launch ourselves into that. If you understand the properties of mathematics very, very well, you're going to get everything else. You're going to understand everything else because you understand these. And I will go into those more in future videos. This is really the end of it. So going on, we have all this stuff, and these are the prerequisites. Knowing all this stuff and understanding these things will help us to be able to get through pre-algebra, algebra, trigonometry, geometry, algebra 2, and beyond. And then we can learn calculus, which will help us, which is a tool that will help us understand the next steps, which are analytical algebra or differential equations, those really, really high up mathematics. So thank you very much. I am very grateful to have you here, and if you like the way that I teach and like the way that I handle all this stuff, remember that you can go to our website that is www.tutorsandteach.org. And if you want to contact us directly, you can contact us at tutorsandteach.org. And that's how you can get in contact with us personally. Please let us know. And if you want to subscribe, click the like button, show the algorithm that you like my content so that more people can find us, and more people can get to the point where they are gonna say, yes, I want to be able to learn more about mathematics and understand it in a much better way. And thank you very much. Have a great day, and I will see you soon.